Colorado's Big 12 nightmare. Deion Sanders' Buffaloes crumble in Houston, leaving more questions than answers. A reality check under the Friday night lights. The Big 12 debut was supposed to be a fresh chapter for Deion Sanders and the Colorado Buffaloes. A chance to make a statement under the primetime lights and prove that last year's 9-win season was no fluke. Instead, it turned into a sobering, brutal reality check. Colorado walked into TECU Stadium on Friday night with swagger, but walked out battered, humbled, and staring at a 36-20 defeat that felt worse than the score suggested. Everything that could go wrong did, and when the mistakes came, they came in bunches, amplifying each other until the game slipped out of Colorado's grasp entirely. The atmosphere, the hype, the stage. It all seemed too big, too soon for a young Buffaloes team still figuring out its identity in its first Big 12 season. Quarterback Ryan Staub, who just last week looked like a poised breakout candidate in Colorado's win over Delaware, took a step back under the relentless Houston pass rush. The offensive line collapsed at key moments, the defense looked like it had forgotten the meaning of gap integrity, and by the time the fourth quarter rolled around, the Buffaloes were just trying to survive. Defensive disaster, 431 yards allowed and no answers. Colorado's defense didn't just struggle, it flat out collapsed. The stat sheet tells a painful story. 431 total yards allowed, 209 of them on the ground, and a complete lack of push from the front seven. Houston's offense turned Colorado's defensive line into a turnstile, opening up lanes big enough to drive a truck through. Cornerback Preston Hodge, one of the team's vocal leaders, didn't sugarcoat things after the game. Speaking with a raw honesty that will either galvanize the locker room or splinter it, Hodge called out the defensive line's inability to do its job in man coverage schemes. "We play a lot of man, so us as DBs, we can't see the QB," Hodge said, frustration audible in his voice. "We have to trust our D-line to stay in their lanes." It was a public airing of grievances that laid bare Colorado's most glaring problem. In man coverage, the secondary sides are locked on their assignments, not the quarterback. If the front four don't stay disciplined, if they let the QB break, contain, or fail to hold the edge, the entire scheme unravels. And unravel it did. Houston's offensive clinic, Connor Weigman dominates. Houston quarterback Connor Weigman looked like a seasoned veteran playing 7-on-7. He carved up Colorado's defense with surgical precision, throwing for 222 yards, rushing for 83, and scoring 2 rushing touchdowns. Whether it was zone read keepers or timely scrambles on third down, Weigman always seemed one step ahead of Colorado's linebackers. Running back Dean Connors added 89 yards and a touchdown of his own, hammering the line of scrimmage with bruising runs that demoralized the Buffaloes' front. Every time Colorado looked like it might get a stop, Connors ripped off a chain-moving gain to keep the drive alive. By the third quarter, Houston had ripped off 123 yards to Colorado's 0. They converted 3 of 4 third downs in that stretch, completely owning the time of possession battle. The Buffs were out-physicaled, out-schemed, and simply outplayed. A coaching staff under fire. Defensive coordinator Robert Livingston faces a long, sleepless weekend reviewing the tape. Tackling in space was sloppy, pursuit angles were poor, and the front seven consistently lost the battle at the point of attack. Colorado's defensive struggles weren't just a one-off bad night. They were systemic. Lane discipline was non-existent, the linebackers over-pursued, and the safeties were often late coming downhill in run support. Giving up nearly 5.5 yards per carry while having your star cornerbacks publicly question the effort of your defensive line is a recipe for dysfunction. And if the defense was bad, the offense wasn't much better. Offensive implosion. Staub's struggles and O-line collapse. Colorado's offensive game plan looked conservative and unimaginative. The Buffs opened the game with 4 straight punts, setting a tone of frustration that never went away. Ryan Staub, still in just his second career start, looked hesitant, almost too careful, as if he was afraid to make a mistake. The offensive line did him no favors. They surrendered 3 sacks and countless pressures, forcing Staub to rush throws and abandon clean mechanics. Drops from the receiving core killed momentum, and key third downs slipped away as Colorado went 4 for 14 on conversions, including 0 for 6 in the second half. Even when Staub found a rhythm, it was fleeting. He managed to lead 2 long touchdown drives in the first half, bringing Colorado within 16 to 14 at the break. But after halftime, the offense went missing. By the time Staub threw his second interception late in the third quarter, any hope of a comeback had evaporated. "We were feeling good at halftime," Staub said post-game. "But throughout the game, we weren't good enough on third down. 3 and out on the first drive of the third quarter, and Houston had the ball for the whole quarter. I can't do that to the defense. It's tough to win that way." Coach Prime's unfiltered reaction, dumbfounded. Deion Sanders is rarely at a loss for words, but after Friday night's collapse, Coach Prime looked stunned. In his post-game press conference, his trademark bravado was gone, replaced by a quiet anger and disbelief. "It wasn't good. I'm at a loss for words," Sanders admitted. "No one could have told me this was going to happen after this week's prep. I take full responsibility for the foolishness that went on out there. We gotta do better in every phase. We gotta prepare our kids. Period." He doubled down moments later, almost as if trying to convince himself, "I'm still dumbfounded on what just transpired. You guys tell me." It was a rare glimpse of vulnerability from a coach who has built his persona on confidence and swagger. For the first time this season, Sanders looked like a man searching for answers. The bigger picture, a program at a crossroads. This loss was more than just a bad night. It was a warning shot. Colorado is entering the meat of Big 12 play, where every opponent is physical, disciplined, and relentless. If the Buffaloes can't fix their issues in the trenches, more nights like this are coming. The secondary can't cover forever, the quarterback can't throw from his back, and the coaching staff can't rely on halftime speeches to magically fix fundamental problems. This is where the program finds out what it's made of. The next 2 weeks will be critical. Wyoming visits Boulder next, a game Colorado must win to stop the bleeding and regain confidence. Then comes BYU, a team known for its physical offensive line and punishing run game. If Colorado can't shore up its front seven by then, things could get ugly. Fans react, frustration and hope. Social media lit up after the game, with fans voicing everything from anger to cautious optimism. Some called for lineup changes, others questioned whether Ryan Staub should remain the starter, and many demanded that the defensive front be overhauled. Yet there's still hope in Boulder. This is a young team and growing pains are expected. Deion Sanders has already transformed the culture once, turning a 1-win program into a 9-win team in a single year. The question is whether he can do it again, this time in the tougher, deeper Big 12. What comes next? Colorado's path forward is clear. Fix the trenches, diversify the play calling, and get Staub comfortable again. This isn't about panic, it's about progress. The Buffs have the talent to compete, but talent alone won't win in a league where every opponent is well-coached and physically imposing. For now, this game will serve as a painful but necessary lesson. If the Buffaloes are serious about contending in the Big 12, they can't just rely on flash and highlight plays. They need grit, discipline, and consistency. 3 things that were missing in Houston.